Tony, this president, for years, has used the Constitution as his backdrop. He said, look, this is my right under the Constitution.
Right.
This government was founded on a series of checks and balances.
Right.
Why not, if you're going to say you're using the Constitution, just apply what you're using there to what this government was founded upon? Checks and balances. And one legislative body checking another legislative body and having a top White House official testify under oath.
We are an executive body, not a legislative body. And secondly, we have in fact said what we're going to do is bend the rules in favor of Congress on this part, because we are going to give them. But what we are doing, yeah, but you're mixing.
Not necessarily.
Well, yes. Look, again, there's a legitimate oversight of the Justice Department, the decisions that went into this. And what we've said is, since there were conversations and communications between the White House and the Justice Department, you ought to be able to see them all. Every one, every single communication available to the American public. Therefore, you talk about transparency, that's the kind of transparency that you don't normally get. So we've made an offer not only to do that, but to say to members of Congress, you want to talk to our guys? You can. And they are going to be compelled legally to tell the truth. But furthermore, the president's going to tell them to tell the truth, because it's in our interest to make sure that the whole truth gets out.
But do you agree that transparency is something that this administration shuns?
No, I don't agree.
When it was time for the vice president to give up the list of names of his energy member.
Well, as you recall, April, that was in fact a separation of powers case that the vice president won precisely because of the checks and balances you've talked about.
Secrecy.
Well, wait a minute. You can't have it both ways. You've just talked about constitutional prerogatives.
No, but I'm saying how this White House seems to run from transparency.
No, we don't
then you
run.
had the 9/11 Commission. We're having conversations, nothing under oath. And now this.
Well, wait a minute. The 9/11 Commission, number one, was authorized by Congress and signed by the president and supported by the administration. What we were trying to do was, again, to avoid the kind of precedent that we're talking about now, which is to bring senior aides up under oath. So what you ended up having were, in fact, I think they were categorized as briefings. They used that formulation for precisely the same reasons I'm talking about now. So I don't think this is a matter of transparency. This is a matter of trying to have. What do you mean? Condoleezza Rice was on there, and she was facing tough questionings from Richard Benveniste and others?
And the president would not testify under oath. You had, quote-unquote, conversations at that time.
Yeah.
And there's an avoidance, and you use that word, avoid. There is an avoidance, it seems, of this administration to sit down and talk on the record, under oath, about critical issues.
Well, wait, no, what you're saying is that every time somebody wants to try to mount a charge, you ought to be able to get hauled up and testify under oath with a presumption of criminality rather than a presumption of goodwill. Not going to buy that.
Was it criminal 9/11? Was that criminal? Was it criminal 9/11? Was that criminal? Was it criminal 9/11? Was that criminal? Was it criminal 9/11? Was that criminal?
No, what I'm saying is that the 9/11 Commission, we participated fully.